Hello, great students. It's nice to have you back to class. On that note, I say welcome to class. In your previous lesson, you learned that complaint is the ability to make a statement indicating being unsatisfied for goods bought or services rendered. But in this lesson, I'll be teaching how to seek redress. How to seek redress. The word redress means to set a situation right, relieve, or remedy. We could always say compensation. Now, consumer rights. What is consumer rights? Consumer rights can be defined as being in agreement with what is just, good, or proper when dealing with consumers. Later in the video, I'm going to explain more on the rights of the consumers. All right? And then let us look at what consumer redress is. Consumer redress is the right of a consumer to seek settlement of just claims, covering not only direct losses, but also resulting damages. In other words, this is the right of a consumer to be compensated over loss of goods, such as I would like to return these clothes. I need to be compensated for the damage. There are ways of seeking redress. Don't forget, I told you earlier that redress means to set a situation right, to give the customer or the consumer a compensation over certain loss or damage. All right? So the consumer has various ways of seeking redress. It begins by either a verbal way of seeking redress or writing method. In seeking the redress, you could also use arbitration. This means using a third party to settle you and the people you bought the goods from. Or better still, you could use a regulatory body concerned. The final option is by seeking legal action in court. Now, once again, consumer redress is that right a consumer has to be compensated over damages or loss. Remember, I said we are going to take the rights one after the other. Now, let's begin with the rights of basic needs. This is the right of an individual to have good shelter, to survive, to have adequate clothing, to have a good health, and a beautiful environment and education. It is referred to as basic needs. The second right here is the right to safety. Every consumer deserves to be saved in whatever product he or she happens to buy. So it is the responsibility of the manufacturers or producers to protect the consumers. And this will help the consumers to be safe when they know the right thing to do when buying the products through the manual. All right? And that will lead us to another right, which is the right to be informed. Every consumer deserved to be informed rightly. And that is why there are instructions in the products we buy as consumers. This will give access to facts and accurate information regarding a particular product or service to be rendered to the consumer. When a consumer is properly informed, then the consumer is saved. That will lead us to another right, which is right to choose. As a consumer, you have every right to choose. That is why you have alternatives in the market. You are not compelled to buy. You make your decision by choosing whatever you desire to buy. All right? So every consumer has the right to choose. And that will lead us to another right, which is the right to represent. When you are satisfied as a consumer, you represent that organization perfectly. All right? By also getting other consumers to know better about that organization or company. And it goes the other way around. If you are not satisfied, you could also represent them negatively. All right? And that will lead us to another right of a consumer. And this right is very important. This is referred to that right of redress, which is compensation, relief, giving you compensation over loss or damage in the process of buying a product or receiving service. Now, the most important of all the right is you have right to have consumer education. Consumer education is the ability of the consumer to be educated over the goods and services. And this will provide you with the knowledge, skills, the necessary information you need as a consumer. All right? Now, the right to a healthy environment. It begins with you, the consumer. How is your environment? The class where you sit to learn, how clean is it? Remember, there's a word that says cleanliness is next to godliness. So how neat is your environment and how clean are you? So you deserve to live a healthy life. All right? Now, let's shift the responsibility to just the consumer. A consumer has to fulfill certain responsibilities, and these responsibilities are: one, when you get a product, how do you use the product? It begins with your manner, and that is first go through the manual of whatever product you buy. Get used to the instructions. Get to be informed properly to be safe in using your product. We keep blaming the manufacturers, but as consumers, do you take out time to go through the manual and know exactly what to do with the product? This is a very important responsibility. Now, benefits of seeking redress. There are various benefits. One, it provides an avenue for customers' complaints to be heard and attended to. Secondly, it provides an avenue for service providers, companies, and suppliers to redeem their battered image. Thirdly, it provides a better understanding between the service providers and the customers. Now, you see why seeking redress is very important. It is good for both the consumers and the manufacturers. So, once again, one, it will provide you with an avenue for you to be heard, and It provides an avenue for the service providers, companies, to also redeem their battered image. That will bring us to the end of this lesson. Please stay safe.